NHL 25's early access launch is right around the corner, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through all of the pre-order options that you are going to have to make if you receive the deluxe edition of the game. I'm going to give you all of the choices, as well as my recommendations for each pack, what to do with your points, and for anyone that did not get the deluxe edition of the game, I'm going to show you how to take advantage of all of the early access content in Hockey Ultimate Team, and you don't even need to buy the full game. So here are the 5 packs that you will receive if you pre-ordered the deluxe edition of the game. I do need to mention that the Cover Athletes Hughes Brothers Choice Pack is only going to be available to the people that pre-ordered the game before September 13th. So if you pre-order the game after that date, you will not receive this pack. So let's begin with that Hughes Brothers Choice Pack. You've got 3 options in the 3 Cover Athletes, all at 84 overall. Luke Hughes, Quinn Hughes, as well as Jack. Let's start first with Jack Hughes at 84 overall, a fantastic card at launch of the game in NHL 24, and we really saw how impactful the smaller players can be in Hockey Ultimate Team, especially early on, because of their fantastic agility rating. Now, Jack Hughes is 5'11", 175, does not have elite size, but he does have 89 speed, 90 acceleration, and 92 agility. Now, for some context when it comes to overalls at launch of the game, I will touch on this more in my complete Hockey Ultimate Team guide. However, there is a drastic reduction in overalls at launch of the game for this year's title. To put it in perspective, in NHL 24 at launch of the game, among NHL teams that were 80 and above overall in terms of rating, there was 300 players when the game released. In NHL 25, there is only 184 players that are from NHL teams that are rated 80 and above at launch. Those are the base cards. Connor McDavid, for example, was an 86 overall in last year's game, the highest rated among base cards. He's down to an 85 this year. So when it comes to skating, anyone that is above an 87 is going to have a pretty noticeable advantage when it just comes to speed alone. With that said, he's got a pretty deadly wrist shot at 90 accuracy, 86 wrist shot power. His body checking is obviously bottom barrel. You are not going to throw a lot of people off the puck with Jack Hughes, but he does have silver elite edges, which, as we saw in NHL 24, became one of the best abilities, not just at the start of the year, but all the way through. It allows you to maintain your skating speed when you go left and right and make a ton of cuts, and when you are going up against players that have very low skating stats, like at launch of the game, you are going to be able to burn players whenever you are using someone that's got decent speed as well as elite edges. So a very strong card to start your team with. Next up, we've got Luke Hughes, the 6'2", 198-pound left-handed defenseman. Comes in with easily the best size of any of the 3 Hughes brothers. He's got offensive defenseman as his synergy, silver send it as his superstar ability, which is still one of the worst abilities in the game, and does come with 86 speed, acceleration with 88 agility, which, like I mentioned, isn't as terrible as it looks, especially at launch of the game. Now, the thing I'll point out about Luke Hughes and just defensemen in general when it comes to launch is that normally it is very difficult to find defensemen that have good skating, a good shot, and decent size. Usually it's 2 of the 3, and to be honest, a lot of the times we're just choosing one of them. Luke Hughes has decent skating, his slap shot power at 88 isn't terrible, and he is 6'2", 198, with body checking that comes in at 82 overall. His defensive awareness sits at 86, which is half decent, so a very well-rounded card when it comes to defensemen. And then lastly, we've got Quinn Hughes. A left-handed defenseman, comes in at 5'10", 180, also has offensive defenseman and silver seeing eye. Now, we saw seeing eye have a little bit of an impact in NHL 24. I'm not sure if it's going to carry the same weight, and in all honesty, as the game got further and further throughout the year, it was less impactful in Hockey Ultimate Team. Now, he comes with elite skating, 90 speed, 90 acceleration, and 93 agility, puts him among the fastest cards, not just defensemen, cards at launch of the game. However, the caveat to that is that he's obviously 5'10", 180 and only has 76 body checking. So you are going to have a heck of a time knocking anyone off the puck that is using some of the bigger players, but you are definitely going to be able to keep up with pretty much anyone in the game. His defensive awareness comes in at 85, which is important because it is one of the most important attributes in the entire game. Defensive awareness, for anyone that does not know, dictates how well your player will actually make intercepts on passes. So with all that said, Quinn Hughes, like we saw in NHL 24, was smaller players being more usable at launch, even on defensemen, is another strong option that can help your team immediately. Now, my personal recommendation, forwards are always going to be more impactful than defensemen when starting your team. Jack Hughes with that great skating, as well as Silver Elite edges, easy pick for me personally, but in all honesty, all three are decent options here. So now that's out of the way. These 4 packs are going to be the packs that for anyone that pre-ordered the game after September 13th, you're going to have access to. So let's dig into the Cover Athletes Choice Pack, which features 8 cover athletes from prior games. So let's start first with the NHL 99 cover athlete, the 85 Henrik Lindros. Always one of the best built centermen in Hockey Ultimate Team, simply because he's 6'4", 240, which means he's one of the bigger players that is just more difficult to knock off the puck. Comes with power forward, which in my opinion doesn't have a ton of impact this year, giving you a +2 to balance, hand-eye, puck control, and strength. A lot of those are modifier attributes, but he does have gold Unstoppable Force. Now, we saw Unstoppable Force be less impactful than in prior years, but it is still a pretty good ability, especially when it's on someone that's gigantic. Now, he's got 86 speed, 84 acceleration, and 87 agility. Like I mentioned earlier when talking about Jack Hughes, the overalls are just much lower. 86 speed is not going to be detrimental to you. It is not going to feel extremely slow when you're going up against the majority of the player base. His shot is all in the mid-80s, and his hand stats are in the high 80s, low 90s. His body checking is 90 overall, which is fantastic. And then he's got 80 in the face-off dot, which again, at launch of the game, isn't half bad. No doubt, just given the state of the lower overalls and players having a hard time body checking because that stat's so low, people are just going to have a heck of a time trying to knock Henrik Lindros off the puck at launch. Now on to the NHL 17 cover athlete, the 85 Vladimir Tarasenko, 6'1", 219. He comes with sniper forward, which in my opinion is still a very good synergy because shooting attributes are a little bit lower at launch of the game, and he does come with Schneip as the zone ability. Now, we saw Schneip get a pretty big buff at the later stages of NHL 24. However, it didn't have the same impact as something like Make It Snappy, but it can still help out, especially when goalie attributes are very low. He comes with 86 speed, 85 acceleration, and 88 agility. So again, kind of in that middle range. It's not going to be detrimental, but he's not going to be flying down the wing. His hand stats are all around 86. Body checking's 82, and he's got decent defensive awareness at 84 and stick checking at 86. Now, you have to take into account who you chose in other packs as well, so if you went Jack Hughes, it would kind of take Vladimir Tarasenko out of the running for me, just because you've already got a left-handed winger, unless you want to put Jack at center. Next, we've got the GOAT, NHL 14's Martin Brodeur. A fantastic cover from widely considered the greatest NHL video game we've ever gotten. Now, he does come with Accelerator Boost, which unfortunately doesn't do anything for goaltenders, but Acceleration Boost is one of the better synergies in the game. And he does have Light Work, and we saw in NHL 24 Light Work be one of the better abilities for goaltenders, as it will help you when it comes to players going for wrist shots, which was kind of a meta goal in NHL 24, those low far side shots. So it was definitely impactful. As we've seen, however, though, when it comes to playing online, goaltenders that are, under 6'4" just don't have the same ability simply because they don't cover as much of the net. EA has tried to alleviate this by making smaller goaltenders a little bit faster or improve their attributes, but we still haven't seen a real impact. Still, a decent-looking goaltender card to start your team with. NHL 07's Alex Ovechkin's up next to 85 overall, 6'3", 238. 84 speed and 83 acceleration with 83 agility. Now, like I said, attributes are much lower at launch of NHL 25, but we're on the lower end here at 84 speed and 83 acceleration and agility. His shot is among the best in the game at launch, especially with Sniper Forward activated, and his body checking and strength is quite high at 86 and 89 respectively, and with the massive boost to one-timers in NHL 25, with the new skill-based one-timer being added to the game, anyone with gold 1T is going to have a massive advantage. So if you get this Ovechkin card in his spot in the face-off dot, players are going to have a heck of a time trying to get that stopped. So if you pair him with someone a little bit faster for his other wing or center, you could just feed him passes all game long. NHL 22's Austin Matthews is our next selection at 6'3", 215, sniper forward with a great shot, as well as gold Make It Snappy. And as we saw in 24, Make It Snappy became one of the best abilities in the game due to that exceptional power and accuracy you get get when you're taking a snapshot. And for a lot of the players, snapshots are what the game classifies your shot as, even when you're trying to take a wrist shot half the time. He's got 86 speed, 85 acceleration, 85 agility, so a little bit faster and quicker than Alexander Ovechkin. His body checking is down at 78, however, but he does have 83 faceoffs, which is a pretty good stat for when you are starting your team. He is big, a great size for a centerman with good defensive awareness. This is a very strong option for you if you wanted to go with the 85 Austin Matthews. Next, we've got the NHL 98 cover athlete Peter Forsberg. Probably the first game I remember playing as a kid, grinding it throughout the entire year. He comes with two-way forward as well as unstoppable force at 6'1", 205. He's got good size, as well as 87 speed, 86 acceleration and agility, a good shot in the mid-80s, very good deking at 88, body checking at 83, and his face-off rating can get up to 85 with two-way forward activated. Again, another very strong option if you wanted to go with Peter Forsberg here. I'll also note that any player that's got a good face-off rating, remember that they give you lineup flexibility because you don't just have to play them at center, you could also play them on the wing. Following him is the 85 Steven Stamkos, 6'1", 193. He's usually got a pretty good skating attribute in comparison to other cards at launch. This one comes in at 87 speed, 86 acceleration, but he can get up to 90 agility with playmaking forward activated. He's got a great shot at 89 wrist shot power and accuracy, as well as slap shot accuracy at 89 and slap shot power at 90. Good offensive awareness, as well as passing and puck control, body checking at 80, and face-offs at 85. Again, another great option for you that you can play at either center or the wing if you want to go with the 85 Steven Stamkos. Born Leader is also a pretty good ability, especially early on in the game, on the players that are higher in your lineup, because if you score goals with them, you will get a big boost to keep your first line on, and again, because you don't have a lot of great options throughout your lineup, it allows you to keep your best line on longer. It also boosts your team's energy whenever you get a hit with this card, as well as block shots. So a very strong ability. And then lastly, in my opinion, the clear choice is last year's cover athlete, the 85 Kale Ma at 6 foot 187. The reason why I think it's a clear choice is because he is one of the fastest cards in the game. You can go end to end and beat almost any other card in this game, whether you want to go right down the boards, make cuts through the middle, because he also comes with one of the best zone abilities in elite edges. You can walk the line at the point, you can cycle with him, you can dance around at any end of the ice, and even though he is technically smaller, he's not tiny by any means. He's 6 foot. His body checking is at 78, which is obviously pretty low. But as we saw at the launch of NHL 24, smaller players were able to hit, especially with how total controls work, where you're able to just hold down circle or B. We'll have to see if the nerf to hitting with smaller players is actually very impactful. He's got great deking, good defensive awareness. Like I mentioned, it is very hard early on in the year to find a defenseman that has great speed, a good shot, and decent size, all with a fantastic ability. So the 85 Kale Ma is my clear number one, but I would also shout out Steven Stamkos, Peter Forsberg, or Austin Matthews if you wanted to go the forward route from this pack. Moving on, the next pack we've got is the Hockey is Family Choice Pack. This is a 2 of 6 choice you will make between 82 overall players. We'll kick things off with the 82 Mathew Kachuk, and as always, his skating is in the toilet. And even with the lower overalls at launch of NHL 25, the speed of 83, acceleration 82, and agility 84, it is going to be quickly outpaced as we get into more content. His shot is in the low 80s. His hand stat are in the mid 80s. Body checking's 81. He does have decent size at 6'2", 206, but honestly, a very underwhelming card. Next, we've got the 82 overall Seth Jones, the right-handed defenseman at 6'4", 213. Always a strong option at launch of the game because he's usually a decent skater, and this is no different. His speed up at 85, acceleration 84, and agility is 85. Like I mentioned, you can get by with 85 for a little while with the state of attributes. His shot is pretty rough. However, he does have two-way defenseman as his synergy, which is a very common synergy early on, and that will give you +2 to defensive awareness, which will get his defensive awareness up to 84, stick checking up to 87, And because he's 6'4", 213 and has 80 body checking, he's going to be able to knock a lot of players off the puck early on in the game. So a pretty decent option for an 82 overall. Following him, we've got Caleb Jones of the Colorado Avalanche, also as two-way defenseman. He is a left-handed defenseman at 6'1", 194. Speed 84, acceleration only 82. Does have decent agility at 87. However, when it comes to defensemen, acceleration is kind of the most important, simply because if you lose the puck at the point, you need to be able to get up to top speed as fast as possible to try and get back. He does have good body checking at 85 overall. So again, not a bad card for a defenseman early on in the game. I think Seth Jones still clears, though. Following him, we've got our first of the Sedin brothers with Henrik at 6'2", 183, the left-handed centerman. Only 77 faceoffs, and man, they just don't ever stat out Sedin cards very well until they're like 99 overall. 83 speed, 82 acceleration, even with playmaking forward activated, which is a good synergy. Agility's at 87, his shot is just above 80. I know he's only 82 overall, but this is just a pretty ugly card. Next, we've obviously got his brother Daniel at 6'1", 190, the left-handed winger, has 83 speed, 82 acceleration, 85 agility. Does have sniper forward, and his wrist shot can get up to 89 accuracy, which is pretty nice. His hand stats are in the mid-80s. But again, I think that you're just going to find far better left-handed wingers that you can get right off at launch of the game. And the last player in the pack, the 82 overall, Brady Kachuk, 6'4", 225, great size, 84 speed, 83 acceleration, and agility. So again, in that lower end of skating, shots in the low 80s, hand stats are in the low 80s as well. Does have 84 body checking. Definitely a very physical card, and again, 84 speed isn't going to be detrimental, but he's probably going to be off your team pretty quickly. That being said, among these choices, a clear number one for me is Seth Jones, just because he's got that okay speed, good size, and defenseman, it's hard to find that combo. That second choice, they're all very similar in terms of slower skaters. I went with Brady Kachuk just because he's one of my favorite players in the NHL. And then on to our last choice pack from the pre-order packs. We've got the Hut Wildcard Starter Choice Pack, and it is going to be a 1 of 6 where you'll be selecting between 6 different 84 overall player items, and there's actually some pretty strong options in here. We'll start things off with the 84 Seth Jarvis, and remember what I said earlier on in the video, 87 speed and acceleration is actually half decent with the update to attributes. At 5'10", 175, obviously a little bit of a smaller player, but he's got very good hands at 88 overall with 90 deking, a good shot in the mid-80s, and is a pure right-handed winger. So if you have not gone with any of the right-handed options from the prior packs, you can go with Seth Jarvis and have a pretty strong top-line option for the start of your team. Also to note, he's got sniper forward, which would boost his shot a little bit more, and he's got silver 1T, and from my early experience playing the game, 1T is going to be a pretty impressive ability given how much they've juiced one-timers in this game. Next up, we've got the 84 overall Kaden Gooy from the Montreal Canadiens at 6'3", 201, great size. On top of that, he's actually got pretty good skating as well. 87 speed, 86 acceleration, 87 agility. Body checking is up at 89, defensive awareness at 85, and 88 stick checking. Low-key, one of the best defensemen in the game at launch. He also comes with defensive defenseman, which will help out his defensive awareness a little bit more. And he's got silver shutdown, which is still one of the best abilities in the game. All in all, a fantastic card to start your team with. Maple Leaf fans will be happy. They can select the 84 Matthew Nyes, 6'3", 217, great size, 85 speed, excel, and 86 agility. He's also got decent balance and can have that improved with power forward. Shot is in the mid-80s, as are his hand stats, 86 body checking, and does come with silver close quarters. Now, we've seen close quarters nerfed in NHL 24. It did lose a little bit of its impact. As you can see, the ability point cost, there is a change to ability points where you can only activate, at the time of this recording, 6 in total. So when you see that it only costs 1, don't think that that's going to be extremely cheap for you. They've just drastically reduced it to make it a little bit simpler. From the Ottawa Senators, we've got the 84 Josh Norris, 6'2", 195 with the two-way forward synergy. Has 84 85 speed, 84 acceleration, and 87 agility, so a decent skater given his size. Mid-80s shooting, mid-80s hand stats, very well-rounded, and he also gets the two-way forward synergy. If you get that activated, will help out with his defensive awareness and face-off rating. That can get up to 83. Tape to tape, in my opinion, is just not a great ability, given that we can only activate so few of them. You're not going to have a ton to choose from at launch, but that will quickly change, so it doesn't get a big bump for his ability. From the Calgary Flames, we've got the 84 Dustin Wolf with accelerator boost. Again, a good synergy to have on your goaltender to help out the rest of your lineup, and does have gold light work, which, like I mentioned, was one of the better goalie abilities in NHL 24. He's got good attributes for launch of the game, but he's 6 foot, and again, EA just has not done anything for the last 2 decades to help out smaller goaltenders to make them usable online. And the last option is the 84 overall Brock Faber, 6'1", 200 with two-way defenseman, which would get his defensive awareness up to 90. He's got silver seeing eye, which is good, not great. 86 speed, 85 acceleration, 88 agility, so a pretty good skater. Hand stats also decent, body checking at 83. I think that because there were so many good right-handed options from the other packs, I would probably go somewhere else than Brock Faber from this one, but still a good card. Now, I'll be honest with you, like I mentioned, there are quite a few good choices from this pack. I mean, honestly, you could go with any of them other than Dustin Wolf and be happy, but I just feel like Kaden Gooy is by far the best of these options, and that was who I went with. And then finally, the NHL Players Pack, which is 6 random NHL players. Now, I don't know if this was because I was able to capture this a little bit before release and maybe the pack wasn't updated, but it included base icons. In fact, all of my cards that I got were base icons, which means that they were all extremely low in overall, which was a little disappointing. So not gonna lie, hope we see a little bit of a change to that, but that was the NHL Players Pack. So now that we've opened all of the pre-order packs from the deluxe edition, let's go over the exclusive content that you are going to get during early access. Again, anyone can access this content, even players that did not pre-order the game. If you did not pre-order NHL 25, but you still want to take advantage of the exclusive content that they are offering, here's what you need to do. Head on over to the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store. Go to search and find EA Play. Once you have found EA Play, head on over to this selection here, and you will find that you can buy EA Play for 1 month at $7.99. I'm in Canada, and you will get a 1-month membership to EA Play. This will allow you to play at launch of early access on September 27th at noon Eastern Time. You will get 10 hours of the game, and everything that you do in those 10 hours will carry over to the full game when you purchase it. So while you will not get the packs from all of the pre-order bonuses, you can take advantage of the XP path and the wild card XP path that they are offering during early access. Just remember, once you are finished your 10 hours, simply cancel EA Play so that you do not get an auto subscription charge. On top of that, EA Play members get 10% off the cost of the game. So if you wanted to buy the full version of the game, it would legitimately save you money. And let's say you want to convince your parents to buy you the game, well, it's $89.99 to buy NHL 25 Standard Edition. If you get EA Play for $7.99, that means you can technically get the game cheaper, get access to all of the early access content, and you saved your parents or whoever a couple bucks. So the first thing that you want to check out is the early access XP path. As you can see, I have unlocked a few tiers from my time playing the game. This is before launch, so all of these things are subject to change, but here are the rewards so far from the XP path. And the thing that I will note is that early on, the rewards are not great, which was a massive fear of mine. You can get various random cards, a few coins here or there, but at the end, you get an early access icon player choice item, which is pretty impactful because the icon cards can be traded in for some really powerful items in the game. You'll also notice that there are bonus XP levels. These are supposed to be repeatable, so once you've completed the XP path, it's not like you're finished. Any way that you play the game, and I mean literally any way you play the game, will earn you XP inside of HUT. So if you don't want to play squad battles, you don't have to. You can play rivals. If you don't want to play rivals, you can just play squad battles. Or you can just play wildcard. It does not matter. While the rewards seem a little lackluster, I do enjoy the fact that you can play the game any way you want. Now, when it comes to wildcard, there is an early access first look event. This is going to be 5v5 with 1 3-minute period, which will have you working towards the wild card XP path. And again, as you can see, I've completed some of the tiers. As you go along, you will get a random player that will increase in overall, as well as a bunch of coins, and then some guaranteed rewards like this 80 overall Anton Lundell, Sean Durzi, and then at the end of it, you will get an X Factor Series 1 Player Choice Pack. This is going to allow you to select from all 8 of the currently available Series 1 X Factor items, and this is extremely easy to obtain in the 10 hours if you are only going to do the EA Play route. So this will set you up with an extra Series 1 Player Choice Pack from the X Factors, as well as the icons. Now, I will have a full video breaking down everything that you need to know about the actual new wildcard mode and the best ways to complete the entire XP path, so be sure to look out for that. Now, lastly, let's talk about what to do with your points if you did pre-order the game. I gotta be honest with you, there is going to be a massive change to the economy and how we perceive all of the prices and values for cards in Hockey Ultimate Team and NHL 25. There are many things to consider when you are looking at how to spend your points. I personally would simply wait until the worldwide launch on October 4th, but I know a lot of you are not going to be able to sit on 4,600 points. As you can see, a lot of the packs have significantly reduced items when it comes to the actual pack. For example, this early access NHL Premium Pack guarantees 380 overall and above items for 1,000 points. When you look at the pack probabilities, again, because of the reduced overalls, it's just very jarring to look at. And I gotta be honest with you, I can't predict how the market is going to go, but what I can tell you is that if you are going to spend your points before the worldwide release, I would do it on the pack that guarantees you the most amount of NHL player items, but even that is risky. For example, this Prime Pack, which is only 500 points, and it does guarantee you 4 NHL players. As of the time of this recording, it also includes the NHL alumni players. And the issue with that is that those players do not count towards team builders. And again, I will have a full video going over the entire mode of HUT touching on team builders, but alumni at this current stage just don't have a ton of value. If you are someone that is not going to invest a ton of time in HUT and you are just looking to get your team off with the best start, you can try going with this premium 75 overall and above pack, which guarantees you 15 players all above that range. And 75 and above players, they aren't useless in NHL 25. They have quite a bit of value. What I can tell you is please do not spend 12,000 points on this Ultimate Player Booster Pack, which contains 20 players with a guaranteed 83 and above item and 10 80 overall and above player items. 12,000 points is well over $100 for one pack at the launch of the game. Please do not do this.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
I would also shy away from this Player Booster Pack, which is perfectly priced by EA to eat up all 4,600 of your points. While they do have decent pack odds, I would rather shoot my shot with a bunch of Prime Packs just to get as many cards as possible. So I hope this helps making your decisions a little bit easier when it comes to all of the pre-order packs and content that the game is offering at launch. Be sure to subscribe for the most up-to-date news, tips, and info for NHL 25. Excited to get started.